trending in China, where we dive into the latest buzz around the Chinese economy and beyond.
I didn't really choose Anhui. Anhui chose me. Anhui is super real. The people are so friendly. They're really genuine, and I feel like it's the real China. So if someone's beeping the car at you in Ireland, especially in a small town, it's their way of saying hello. They know you, and you wave back. Maybe the first week I was walking around Hefei, I thought everybody was saying hello to me.
How do you define success, by the way?
Freedom. Having enough time, enough money to do what makes you fulfilled. So working in a way that you're doing something you enjoy, and the work being profitable enough to the point where you can spend time with the people and the things that you love.
So the culinary innovation, which is shaped by frugality, has since become a staple in Huizhou cuisine.
Absolutely, and I think the culinary innovation that is shaped by frugality, or shaped by maybe not having such an abundance of food, is something that really connects Ireland and Hui cuisine. The beauty of Chinese food and Anhui food is it's always about sharing. It's about sitting down with those you love. And if we go back a few decades, 40, 50 years ago, maybe Irish men or Chinese men weren't so good at expressing their love verbally, but it will be expressed through food. It will be expressed through sharing a meal, through working hard all day and preparing a meal and sitting down and sharing it with the people who are most important to you.
Hello and welcome back to Trending in China. I'm your host, Yolanda Lu, reporting from Beijing. In our recent episodes, we have journeyed through some of China's hidden gems, from the coastal charm of Fujian in the southeast to the vibrant cultures of Xinjiang in the west. Today, we are heading east to Anhui province, but with a delicious twist. We are embarking on a culinary adventure to uncover its untold stories through food, and we've got a fantastic lineup to guide us. First, joining me remotely is Irish chef Curt Evans. With 6 years of Michelin-starred kitchen experience, Curt now runs a food consulting company right here in Hefei, Anhui's capital. He has spent years delving into China's culinary culture with a special focus on Anhui's intangible food heritage. Curt, welcome to the show. I'm also thrilled to introduce my co-host Zhao Jinzheng. Zhao is a Hefei-based reporter who was born and raised right here in Anhui. His deep roots and sharp journalistic eye give him a unique insight into the province's culture, people, and of course, its food. He will be joining us remotely from Hefei to share first-hand stories and local perspectives. Zhao, thank you for jumping on with us.
Thank you, Yolanda. And hey guys, I'm Zhao Jinzheng, a reporter based in East China's Anhui province. It's so great to see you again in this episode. And now Curt and I are sitting in one of Curt's beautiful restaurants in Hefei. And last month we shot a series of video reporting traditional Chinese food culture. And I believe today we have so much to share.
Thank you so much, Zhao. So let's start with you, Curt. You have many roles, right? So how do you usually introduce yourself to people?
Good question, Yolanda. Let me start by saying my name, I suppose. So I'm Curt Evans and I come from Ireland. How do I introduce myself? That's difficult. All of my work falls under two categories. So it's either food or education based. So within food, as you mentioned, I have a long history of working in some Michelin restaurants in Ireland. And now in China, I tried my best to search for new food, to find interesting foods, and I run some restaurants and I do some consultancy. Within education, I own a small school for children where I teach them cooking also through English, and I work as a university teacher in Anhui University.
Wow, so many identities. So I wonder, like, of all these identities, which role do you like most?
Oh, that's a difficult question. I suppose chef. Chef would be my favorite. I'm not in the kitchen as much as I used to be, of course, but now I work more like a maybe culinary director, writing the menus and in trying to inspire younger chefs. But I think my heart is in food.
I totally agree because how do we get to know each other? Because me and my colleague in Anhui, we have discovered the social media account that was run by Curt and his team, and that was about his discovering about Anhui's special food. And he said he's also a food hunter. He loved to go to different places for different food, from east to west, from north to south. So I think he's a very special one. But food is a major part of his life, I suppose.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, I always have the question because when people they come to China, the first stop they will choose usually like Beijing, Shanghai, or Shenzhen. But why did you choose Anhui?
It's a good question, and one I get asked quite often, to be honest. I didn't really choose Anhui. Anhui chose me, I could say. So I was working as a professor in a university back in Ireland, teaching hotel management and teaching cooking, teaching French culinary arts. And at that time, that university has a partnership with many universities in Anhui, the 2+2. The students can study 2 years in China and then finish their studies in Ireland. And the university gave me the opportunity to come to China for 10 months for one academic year contract. And I thought it was quite interesting. I was reasonably excited by the chance, and I came. Also working slightly, I suppose, as an ambassador, trying to encourage some students to try Ireland, let them know it's safe, it's a beautiful country. And within 6 months, I knew there was something special about Anhui and Hefei in particular for me. I could feel it was growing. It was a vibrant city and something I wanted to be a part of. So that was almost 7 years ago, and I'm still here now.
Yeah, what impressed you most, like when you first arrived in Anhui?
So being from Ireland, we don't have tall buildings. It's not a very big country. And when I first came, the first night I came to Hefei, I was taken to Swan Lake. And it's a very beautiful part in the new downtown of Hefei. And I was driving around the lake, looking at all of these huge, colorful buildings, 50 floors high. And I really got the feeling of being in a big city. My friends joke sometimes and they say Hefei is not a big city, but I'm like, Hefei is double the population of Ireland. So Hefei is clearly a big city. Yeah, so my first impression of Hefei was something really beautiful. It was astonishing. It was something new for me.
What are some of the reasons you choose to open your new restaurant here, very close to the Swan Lake?
Part of the reason. Also, there's more to it than that, I suppose. So some of the work we do here, you have to also look at the market research. And the house price around Swan Lake is quite high. So people in this area, they have a genuine want for exploring Western cuisine and spending some money and enjoying their life. So this area, which I consider the new Hefei, the new downtown, is very beautiful. That's not to say I don't love the old downtown, Huangshan, the charming part of Hefei, but there's a clear contrast.
Did you have some kind of cultural shock when you first arrived in Hefei?
I had a few. One story is quite funny, so I'll tell you that one, I suppose. Ireland is a really small country, and even within Ireland, I come from a smaller town. So we don't usually beep the horn on the car, and we hardly ever. But when someone does it, they do it in a way where usually it means hello. So if someone's beeping the car at you in Ireland, especially in a small town, it's their way of saying hello. They know you, and you wave back. Maybe the first week I was walking around Hefei, I thought everybody was saying hello to me. I had no idea that people here would use the horn maybe slightly more aggressively to indicate a turn. And I really realized that, oh my God, I come from a small town. That was quite fun. But the other shock or the other difference I noticed maybe was just the scope, the size of everything. The first community I lived in Hefei, the population of that one community would be somewhat similar to the population of a town in Ireland. Like it's unbelievable.
Yeah, that's very interesting. So maybe Hefei gave you the impression as a very friendly city, right? People waving you like along the way. So have your impression of Hefei changed over the years? How's that different from like when you first arrived in Hefei?
Hefei, in my opinion, is like a tale of two cities. So the place we are now, close to Swan Lake or the new downtown, and then some places like Gaoxingchu or the high-tech zone or Binghu, they're changing constantly, and the change is very obvious, very rapid. But what I also love about Hefei is when you go to the old downtown, when you go to the old city center, it feels like nothing's changed. The people are just so lovely, so kind, so friendly, so welcoming. And in Hefei, my feeling is always like there's two different cities within the one city.
Yeah. What about you, like Jinzheng? You were born and raised in Anhui, right? How do you see the changes in Anhui province as a whole, maybe?
So I came to Hefei for about 3 years. The very first time I came here, that was very different from the city in my stereotype, because Hefei, as well as the province is located, used to be regarded as a little bit backward, but it is quite different from what we previously assumed, because it is a city and a province that is famous for technology and like the artificial sun, and as well as the network companies, as well as the new energy vehicles, and the environment and the people here, they are very friendly. And the environment, I was shocked by a big city for the green coverage, and that was a great place to live and a great place to work. So that's all I can talk about, but maybe not about the physical changes, but the changes of my mind and how I perceive the city.
I totally agree with what you're saying, because sometimes when I go to the bigger cities, people say, "Oh, you're living in Hefei. Why?" Or almost, they're shocked. So people's perception, especially people who haven't been here, is maybe negative, and it's based in 10 or 20 years ago. But I think anyone who comes to Hefei, it far exceeds their expectations. The city has grown so rapidly.
When we talk about changes, that people always like talk about the high-speed trains and how they are changing the lives of people. Like when you first came here to China 7 years ago, like was there a lot of like high-speed trains, and how have the high-speed trains like changed your life, Curt?
And the high-speed rail is quite astonishing. Now I can go from Hefei to Shanghai with less than 2 hours on the fastest train, which is unbelievable. And it takes me 2 hours to travel a very short distance back home in Ireland. So there hasn't been a huge change, to be honest. High-speed rail was already very common even 7 years ago. So the stations I'm going to, I haven't noticed really a big change. I've noticed the speeds continually get faster. But when I compare the high-speed rail here to the rail system in Ireland or anywhere across Europe, it's truly quite fantastic. I think I'm here 7 years, and I've had maybe less than 5 trains have ever been even slightly delayed. If you were in Ireland for a week, you would meet 5 delayed trains. So the system here it's like clockwork. It runs very smoothly. It's very comfortable. The price is a little high, I must say, maybe compared to the average salary, but the quality you're getting for the price is quite fantastic.
I also noticed this. I also noticed some of the high-speed rail train can run at a speed about 350 kilometers per hour. That was very impressive.
It's amazing. It's truly, truly quite amazing.
Yeah, so you travel a lot from Anhui to Shanghai, right? Could you introduce us your restaurants in both Anhui and Shanghai?
My pleasure. So at the moment, on a weekly basis, I'm traveling back and forth between Hefei and Shanghai. I have 2 food businesses currently within Hefei. One of them is a small wine bar and bistro called Daili in Chinese. And it's near Anhui Agricultural University, and it's a very beautiful place. It's in the old downtown. It's quite charming. We get a really good sense of community there. We hold a lot of events, wine tastings, and we're trying to encourage maybe some people to open their minds to grape wine, red wine, and white wine within Hefei. The second one is the one we're sitting in at the moment, and it's called Inwush. And my company is the official food partner here. So all of the food is designed by my company. And actually, where we're recording now is in my training kitchen. So it's a small kitchen where I often teach kids how to cook, how to make pizza or fresh pasta. Those are the two businesses within Anhui. In Shanghai, I have a small bistro in the living district in Minhang called Baoger, which is creative cuisine, I think would be the fairest definition. We make some very interesting food, but like borderless cuisine. We don't want it to have any certain country's feeling. So whatever we feel is delicious is the most important. Also with some emphasis on wine. But the jewel in my crown is the restaurant that will open next month. And it's called Yeats, which is named after my favorite poet from Ireland. And it's going to be in Jing'an district in downtown Shanghai, Anhui and Irish. I'm very, very excited about that. It's going to be a modern Irish bistro. So that's going to be the jewel in my crown, the most important restaurant within my portfolio.
So you are basically managing about 4 major restaurants in the very center of 2 cities. Wow, he's really good at this.
I really like the idea of borderless, so you can exchange ideas and you can exchange like culture like in your restaurants. Is that your design initially?
Purposely, yes, it has been designed in that way. We treat all of the restaurants quite differently. So the one we're in now, it's more traditional food. It's based around what students want to eat, maybe some lunchtime brunch style food. The wine bar in Hefei and the small wine bar in Shanghai, they're more like you're saying, creative cuisine. And we want people to enjoy the best of different cultures. I'm Irish. My partners are Chinese. I'm French trained. So I have Irish taste. I have French hands, you could say. My chefs are Chinese. So there's no need to be too tied down in any one style.
How many languages do you speak?
I speak one fluently, sadly. All native English speakers are quite lazy. I can speak Chinese. I have enough Chinese to survive. The old Irish language, I can speak a very small amount, but not a lot. And in school, I studied German. So within Germany, I could ask for directions. I could order some food. But actually, at this stage, I'd say Chinese is my second language. While my Chinese is not very good at all, it's enough. It's enough for daily life.
It's enough for your survival here.
Exactly.
You have a Chinese name? Or just a translation?
It's pretty much just a translation, but I really like it. So I was working here for 4 years in the top university in Anhui called Zhongkeda, USTC.
Yeah, Zhongkeda.
Yeah. So my Chinese name is Ke Keda de Ke, Tobie de Te. So it just sounds like Curt, but I also quite like it.
Well, what do you teach in Zhongkeda?
English, spoken English in Zhongkeda. Yeah. And the same as Anhui University now. I'm teaching English, spoken English, and some Irish poetry, Irish literature to the English major students. In a different university, a few different universities throughout Anhui, the partner schools, I still do some work with the hotel management teaching also.
I have to say, you are so versatile.
A busy man.
And energetic.
I'm not sure about energetic, but versatile, yes.
Yeah, I feel like I have the feeling that teaching is not only like a job for you. It's like one of your hobby or like one of your like lifestyle to like spend your life. Why do you like teaching?
I'm an E person. I'm quite extroverted and I get my energy from others. I like communication. I feel like I like telling stories, which is something very common in Irish culture anyway. So teaching keeps me feeling excited, gives me energy, keeps me feeling young, whether it's teaching young kids how to cook or teaching them English, or whether it's teaching these brilliant English majors in Anhui University about Irish literature or poetry. I get a lot of energy from this. So it's something I'm passionate about English anyway. I love poetry, I love reading, I really, really have a love for the English language. It's hard to say as an Irishman, but it's true. So yeah, teaching is a source of energy for me. Rather than something that takes away my energy, it's something that gives me more.
So maybe we're similar because the very reason I work as a reporter because I want to hear the stories of each and every interviewees I have ever met. So I can get energy and learn from them. From this perspective, I think we're quite similar to each other.
Very similar, very similar.
Yeah, I'm also a E person, but like when I always talk to people about the MBTI that you just talk about, but many people because it's very popular recently, like in recent years in China, right? I don't know, like in Irish, do people share about their personality test?
Yeah, what I like to consider is MBTI is the modern day star signs, like the zodiac signs.
Exactly.
10 years ago, everyone would say, "Oh, are you a Pisces? Are you a Sagittarius?" And today, everyone will ask you, "What's your MBTI?"
What's your MBTI? What's your MBTI?
Based on my
think
work, you might guess it right.
I think we are very similar. Like yeah. So for me, I am ENFP. So maybe you are similar. EN,
yes. I'm ENTJ.
ENTJ.
We're pretty similar. I'm ENFJ.
Okay.
We are so similar. ENTJ is like they are considered the leaders of the world.
Yeah. Steve Jobs, Gordon Ramsay, a few people like this. So
Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah, a good fit. A good fit.
You will be super successful in life.
Hopefully.
Yeah. How do you define success, by the way?
That's a good question. Freedom. Having enough time, enough money to do what makes you fulfilled. So working in a way that you're doing something you enjoy, and the work being profitable enough to the point where you can spend time with the people and the things that you love. So I have no need for vast fame or riches, but I do want to be comfortable enough in life where I make my own choices.
That's really deep thought. I think you have really thought it through, like before you take actions. Maybe.
Absolutely, yes. So I'm working so hard to achieve.
That's very interesting. So like you said, you also run a food consulting company. So I'm just very curious. I have never heard of food consulting. Like what is food consulting and why do you see this as an opportunity in China?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I was getting lots of opportunity in China to maybe open restaurants, especially within Anhui, because I suppose in Shanghai I would have quite a lot of competition from French and Italian and other nationalities, Michelin chefs. But in Hefei, there's not so many chefs of my caliber. So I was getting a lot of opportunities where people wanted to open restaurants with me or people wanted me to cooperate with them. And then I realized I can't cooperate with everyone and I don't know them well enough to necessarily, but I could consult for them. So when people approach me, I can help them to set up a restaurant, to choose a location, to write a menu, to train the chefs. And I started doing that and the opportunity presented itself to me and I just grasped it and I went with it and it's worked really quite well. So my consulting company has got some pretty good clients. I'm quite happy. Zhongkedao, we mentioned earlier. They have a Western restaurant in the West Campus in Anhui, in Hefei. And the food in there is all made by my consulting company. And Wuhan University, Wuda, they also have a Western restaurant inside. And all of the food is by my company, written by me. And now the Canadian International School, Hefei, which is probably the best international school in Hefei in Anhui, I do consulting for them also and write all of their Western menus.
Wow. That school is not far away from here.
Not far, yeah.
Close 3 to 4 kilometers away from here.
Gaoxingchu.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe Jinzheng, you can consider opening a restaurant yourself because you have such a good mentor here.
Oh my God, yeah.
Absolutely.
Right? Okay.
Yeah. Maybe someday in the future I got my own restaurant and he will do the thing for me.
Special price, big discount.
Yeah. So Curt, I still remember the very first time we met you in the social media account. And do you still update your quest for food adventure right in your social media account? And what initiates you to start this adventure?
That's a good question. So sadly, to be honest, I don't update it as much as before. I'm just too busy now. But there was a period of time where I took it upon myself to want to explore Hefei, to go down every alleyway, to find every small street, and to find, as a quest for food, as you've said, to find maybe the best local food I could find, the best coffee shops, and the most interesting places. So while I was doing that, some people recommended that I could upload my journeys and help other people. And I knew what it was like to be a new foreigner in Hefei, in a new country, in a new place. And it's lonely sometimes, and it's quite hard, especially if you don't speak the language. So I decided that because of my personality, I'm going to be doing this quest either way. So if I upload it and I create some groups, I've created a foodies community, which are some WeChat groups also. And by sharing my quest, the new people who come to Hefei now, they can look at the city in a better light. They don't need this 6 months to 1 year of trying to find themselves. If they follow the places I've been to, they can fall in love with the city within a month.
Yeah. So you are basically a friendly stranger online who tells the new strangers about which restaurant has the best food.
That's a big part of it. That's a big part of it. So part of my initial reasoning was to help the people from outside of Hefei. That includes a lot of my university students who don't come from Anhui, and a lot of foreign friends who come here, like the German guys working for Volkswagen. So anyone who's not from Hefei could look at my account and they could see Hefei in a more beautiful light, in the light that I see Hefei in.
To develop new food. And similarly, you guys also came to different places like Shanghai and Zhejiang province, and to some coastal areas or some mountainous areas for the special food. And but differently, you were going to share the food with the newcomers to the city, and he was like combining the specialties with the American barbecue together to develop some new species. Something like that. How do you see that?
Yeah, I've met Adrian. He's a friend of mine, and I think what he's doing, especially the first thing that made him rise to fame, maybe the chogui pizza, was really quite interesting. This is back to that kind of creative cuisine, or that word fusion that people like. I don't like that word so much, but creative cuisine or borderless cooking, certainly. I think what he's doing is really interesting. And as I said, so I started out my social media accounts to help people new to the city, but I ended up getting a very large following from people within Hefei who were really excited, especially when I'd go to some like fly restaurant or some very old downtown restaurant that's maybe not so clean but super delicious. And the locals, I think they like the contrast of seeing me in that type of place and praising their hometown, talking about how delicious Hefei's food is, how interesting the space is. So there's some similarities between myself and Adrian. We're typical white Western looking men. We stand out, and we're both trying to do something with the local food industry to make Anhui a better place, or not necessarily a better place, but at least to make Anhui slightly more known in the food scene.
Yeah.
So a type of an ambassador role, I suppose.
How is Anhui cuisine different from like other kind of cuisines in China? What's the unique thing about Anhui cuisine?
Anhui as a province can be broken down into two parts, in my opinion. So the north of Anhui and the south of Anhui, almost even divides the north and south of China. The border goes through Anhui. You have two cities in Hefei and Huangshan, which is literally where the south-north divide almost starts. So within the south of Anhui, the food is quite amazing. I love it very much. The foods like the hotui, the hams, and choguiyu, and these fermented foods in the mountainous areas in Huangshan. They're quite salty, as they should be, of course. They're fermented or they're cured, but super delicious. And in those regions, the meats, the vegetables, everything is so fresh. The fish, everything, it's really, really amazing. And in the north of Anhui, the food is less rice-based. It's more like the north of China. So we have a lot of bread, a lot of noodles. In some cities like Suzhou or Huaibei, Bozhou, the lamb soup and some xiaobing. It's so delicious, like unbelievably delicious. But if you...
They're more down to earth.
Yeah, absolutely. Way more down to earth. And I think if you were to compare the food in the north of Anhui and the south of Anhui, it's very hard to find much connections. It's really, truly like two different places.
I wonder, like, what's your first time experience with the stinky mandarin fish, 臭鳜鱼?
Of course. So when I first came to Anhui, the company who I was here working with, they're the company who connect the Irish universities with the universities in Anhui. And as a new visitor to Anhui, they brought me to a very beautiful Hui cuisine restaurant. And they told me the star of the show was coming out, and it was this beautiful big fish. And as soon as I smelt it, I was so scared. I was like, I don't want to be rude. I don't know how to eat it. And I was very, very shy. The smell was quite strong, but they promised me that the taste would contrast with the smell, that the taste is more delicate, while even though the smell is quite strong. And to be polite, most Irish people are quite polite. I didn't know how to say no. So I decided to try it. And to my surprise, I genuinely loved it. So now I don't eat a lot of fish in China because the way people prepare fish in China and Europe is different. And sometimes there's a lot of bones, and I'm afraid I'll choke or something because we would fillet the fish differently. But that guiyu, the fish used in choguiyu, has almost no bones, and the meat is so flaky. And if you get past the smell, the taste and the texture is excellent. One of my favorite Chinese dishes.
Yeah, is there any dish similar to this back in Ireland?
No. In Scandinavia, in the north of Europe, they're quite famous for having some fermented or smelly fish dishes that are canned. So they're canned, like a canning process, and it's allowed to ferment in the can. And as you open it, the smell is also really very strong. It's quite famous all over the world. But in Ireland, we have a lot of famous fish dishes. We have a lot of smoked fish, a lot of air-dried fish, but we don't have a comparison like a fermented fish.
I can still remember the very first time we take the video together, right?
Yes.
And they ask you to the production line of stinky mandarin fish, and you also season the salt on the fish, right, on your arm. And I back to the very beginning, I can still remember when the cultural inheritor he talked about the story about the stinky mandarin fish, and that was very special because he said the stinky mandarin fish originated from the traveling Huizhou merchants many hundred years ago, because when they journey far away from home, they tend to preserve the fish by salting and pickling to better preserve them. And as time goes by, the unique fermentation process gave birth to the distinct smelly aroma. Frankly speaking, we did have a very good time shooting that video in Huangshan City about the dish, but that is not quite acceptable to everyone to get that smell from the very beginning of the food production. It was very strong.
Yes, absolutely. A great time shooting that. And I think seeing the process, how it's done nowadays, on such a beautiful, such a clean production line that would stand up in any country in the world, it's really, really excellent. And then getting to go outside and do it in the old way, where I was rubbing the fish myself, adding the salt, using stones to weigh down the fish. A very interesting journey and experience for me.
Yeah, like Jinzheng said, that there's a story behind every dish, right? Like behind 臭鳜鱼, there is a story of the Hui merchants. They're traveling afar to bring this dish to people all over the country, maybe. Yeah, what are some other cultural elements behind the other kinds of Anhui cuisine that you noticed?
Okay, interesting. So during our journey, we also went to Shaoxian.
Yeah, Huangshan City.
Yeah, very close to Huangshan City, and we got to see all of the techniques, from the modern technique from some amazing chefs back to the absolute basics of a fourth generation family who all were in the making of tofu. So getting to see all of this was really, truly amazing. And tofu being such a large part of all of China's culinary tradition, it's quite beautiful and quite amazing that it came from a small village within a city, within a small city in Anhui. So learning about tofu was really quite interesting. And then when you go south, that they went up another step and they went and they fermented the tofu, turning it into hairy tofu, mao tofu. Also really interesting.
Well, here I want to add some of the historical elements of hairy tofu.
Please, please.
Yeah. It is said during the Yuan dynasty, also about many hundred years ago, the local people often provide the water tofu, which is also one of the traditionally recognized
Simplistic form.
Simplistic form of tofu to the soldiers as food. But when some of the tofu was too much and was left uneaten, so it developed the white and brown fuzzy mold. So the people, to avoid waste, the cooks fry the moldy tofu and braise it with various seasonings, and surprisingly created the hairy tofu. So the culinary innovation, which is shaped by frugality, has since become a staple in Huizhou cuisine.
Absolutely. And I think the culinary innovation that is shaped by frugality, or shaped by maybe not having such an abundance of food, is something that really connects Ireland and Hui cuisine.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of our traditional dishes are also based around not necessarily having enough food and making foods want to be cured or want to be smoked to get through the winter. And so I think there's a lot of similarities between Hui cuisine and Irish cuisine.
Yeah, what kind of other similarities, like in food culture in Ireland, Europe, and maybe China, do you see?
I'll concentrate on Ireland rather than the rest of Europe, because
Yeah, sure.
it's where I spent most of my life. The obvious similarities between Ireland and China is, especially Ireland and Anhui. If we go back a few decades, Anhui, as Joel mentioned earlier, is considered a poor province. And if we go back a few decades, Ireland's also considered quite a poor country. So we were making the best of what we had. And in Ireland, something very similar to Anhui, or similar to all of China, I suppose, is we're quite famous for nose to tail cooking, meaning that we would use every part of the animal. Less common now in Western culture. But when I was growing up, my father would be cooking hearts, liver, kidneys, brain, everything, absolutely everything. My father would have went hunting quite a lot. So the fish, the birds, the animals, we would eat every part of them. If it's edible, we are eating it, certainly. So there's one similarity. And another similarity is, I think, the beauty of Chinese food and Anhui food is it's always about sharing. It's about sitting down with those you love. And if we go back a few decades, 40, 50 years ago, maybe Irish men or Chinese men weren't so good at expressing their love verbally, but it will be expressed through food. It will be expressed through sharing a meal, through working hard all day and preparing a meal and sitting down and sharing it with the people who are most important to you. This idea of breaking bread. So I think that's another huge similarity.
Yeah, I'm really touched by what you just said of this people getting together and sharing through food. Went to undergrad in Shanghai. Yeah, so I know like people there, they love like queuing up for new restaurants. They have a culture for that. Okay, so yeah, like how do you view maybe the difference between Shanghai and Anhui maybe?
It's a good question. There are some obvious differences. So I'm truly happy I came to Anhui first, because I think if I came to Shanghai first, I would be too spoiled in a way. I definitely wouldn't speak any Chinese. I'd have no need to speak any Chinese. I would have fallen into a circle of foreign friends and maybe some Chinese overseas returnees who came back and speak fluent English. Whereas being in Hefei and maybe struggling in Hefei for the first year gave me some resilience. And now, while my Chinese is not great, I will say again, it's not terrible. And most of my friends here are Chinese people, and I embodied myself in the Chinese culture. I went down all of these streets. I did all of this walking that I knew the other foreigners or the other not local residents wouldn't do. And I found what I believe to be part of the real China. I went to all of these places that foreigners don't usually go to. I wouldn't have done that in Shanghai. I would have fell into a very simple, relaxed circle. But in contrast, I love both cities. Anhui is super real. The people are so friendly. They're really genuine, and I feel like it's the real China. Shanghai is amazing. I can't underestimate how much I like Shanghai. Shanghai for me, of course, is more similar to London, New York, Hong Kong. It's a huge mega city. It's in the top 5-10 in the world. Tokyo, for example. Shanghai, you could eat in a different Michelin restaurant every day and keep eating in them for like a year. It's a real food capital of the world. So they have different charm, but both cities certainly have their own charms.
They got different tempers
Totally.
of different cities.
Totally. Hefei is quite slow in a good way. Hefei is really, the quality of life in Hefei every year statistically is one of the top in China.
Yes.
So you have never thought of like moving elsewhere, like outside Hefei or Shanghai maybe?
Maybe
No,
it's
no.
more affordable.
No. My life at the moment is going to be 50% Anhui, 50% Shanghai. And sadly, at least at the moment, I don't have time to even consider another place.
Like talking about teaching, you said you are also a teacher, like teaching young kids in China to cook. Like what inspired the idea of teaching the young kids in China?
I wanted to make a way to combine my two works or my two passions. So I was trying to find a way to make education and food somehow overlap. And I wanted my consultancy company and my education company to have some overlap. So it's kind of creating my own IP or my own brand as who I am within China. So I've done that in a few different ways. So I've almost created a niche where there's not a lot of competition because the market didn't really exist before. So now my market, if you look at the children's education, I concentrate on a lot of food education. Of course, it's true English, and the intention is to teach them English, like a type of passive learning, where they're having fun and they forget they're learning English. But then also, if you look at my consultancy company, it's worked the other way back. So that's the food company. But my biggest clients are a restaurant within USTC, a restaurant within Wuhan University, and now the Canadian International School. So my food company has leaned into education, my education company has leaned into food, and we've landed somewhere in the middle.
Teaching breeds satisfaction, right?
Absolutely.
So Curt, I also wonder, you as a teacher helping the children not only learn English, but also learn knowledge about food from different countries. What impressed you most during the years of education?
If we're concentrating on the young kids, so in particular, when we're doing the food education through English, the children can range in age from kindergarten, like maybe 4, up to about 12, usually the end of primary school. And what impressed me most is quite simple. It's just their joy. So there's a new type of parent in China. I think maybe Zhou Ling Ho or Ling Ling Ho, certainly.
The post 90s and the post 2000.
Exactly. Their personality. We talk about different generations, millennials, Gen Zs, Gen X. These who we would consider post 90s or post noughties parents in China, they're truly more open-minded. Of course, now they've grown up in easier circumstances than their grandparents. I understand why they're more open-minded. But what they want from their kids is not necessarily so much pressure around education. They want a certain sense of enjoyment. And for me, yesterday, I did a shopping and cooking class. I took a group of 4-year-old kids to a shopping mall. We went and we had a beautiful food list. We bought everything for the salad and we bought everything for the sandwiches, and we came back here and we make them. Just the joy in their faces. They have no idea that they're learning. They don't consider it a class. They're just playing with their friend, who happens to be me.
And that is valuable as well.
Yeah, they're just enjoying themselves. So you're giving these kids, some of them even maybe core memories, something quite important to them. And the parents are happy, and I'm quite happy. So I think everyone's benefiting.
Yeah, that's the way it's supposed to be, I guess. Like, learning should be full of joy, and like learning is a lifelong process, right? So if you find joy, like doing something, you will stick to it. Yeah.
Yes, I think like people say, interest is the best teacher.
Yeah, sure. Of course. And I wonder, like, what inspired you to become a chef?
Ooh, that's a good question. So we have a different view maybe on education between Ireland and China. So for us, after high school, many of us, including myself, would choose to take a gap year. So I didn't go straight to university. I took some time off. I traveled a little in Southeast Asia, in Thailand, and I ended up in Australia for some time. And during that time, I was living in some hostels, backpacking, and I was trying to cook for myself. And I realized I don't really know how. I was struggling a little, and I've always wanted some good food, but my ability wasn't so great. And then when I came back to Ireland and I was considering what to do in university, I realized my biggest interest, whether it be the books I was reading or the TV shows I was watching, was all based around food. And being a chef is not such a simplistic or classical career choice. Maybe my mom wasn't so delighted at that time, but she has a lot of trust in me, and I think she has a lot of trust in my standards and my capability. So in the end, her view was, if I choose this career, I must become good at it. That was once I become good at it, it's okay. So I don't need a lot of external motivation. Internally, I push myself quite hard, to be honest. So I never had any problems or worries about that. And I chose classical French culinary arts as my undergraduate degree. And if I could go back again, I'd do it again. It was one of the best choices I've made.
And you have never thought, like, at that moment you would come to China, like, to have this splendid career of discovering diverse food in China, right?
At that period, I never thought I would end up coming to China, and I never thought I would end up teaching even necessarily.
Maybe back then you want to be another Gordon Ramsay.
Actually, the chef who trained Gordon Ramsay is called Marco Pierre White, and he was my idol. He was like the first bad boy of cooking. He's this long-haired, very cool English chef, and I admired him so much. His shows, his book. I looked at him like a rock star. So he was one of my idols. Was Marco Pierre White, and the other one would be Anthony Bourdain.
So that was a quite contrast between you when you were young and the work you were doing right here in China.
Absolutely. So I realized I got to maybe my late 20s, and I realized that a lot of chefs burn out. because it's a difficult job. It's a high stress situation. And then because the stress is so high, by the time you finish work at 10, 11 p.m., most chefs go to the bar because they need to unwind before bed.
Yeah.
So doing this repeatedly for 10 or 20 years is difficult. It's truly difficult.
It's a bit torture sometimes.
So I went on to do my master's degree at that time. One of the best, for that degree, it's maybe the best school in Europe. And the degree is Master of Science in Culinary Innovation and New Food Product Development. So I did that with the intention of one day becoming a professor and teaching culinary arts or teaching food. So I knew by my late 20s, maybe around 30, I knew I needed a plan, a backup plan to get out of the kitchen before I completely burnt out.
Yeah.
Life is full of surprise, and now you are connecting all the dots, like right here in China, right? So I think it's amazing. Yeah, realize your dream in China.
Life is full of changes.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, what's your future plan in China? You talked about innovations. So what kind of innovations do you aspire to achieve in the future?
That's a good question. So the education company, teaching young kids through English and through cooking is going quite well. And that's quite mature at the moment. And the consultancy work is going really well. That's also quite mature at the moment. So a lot of my focus is going to go into the modern Irish bistro in downtown Shanghai for the next 1 or 2 years. My hope for that is quite high. So if you go to places like London or New York, there's amazing representations of Irish food products, and Irish chefs. But in Asia, actually, at the moment, there isn't really. So my expectations for this restaurant is, I'm shy to say it out loud, but I want this to be the best representation of Irish food and Irish food products in all of Asia.
Oh, that's wild.
That's honestly so I told you my standards for myself are quite high.
And wow, but good.
Most of my motivation is quite internal, but that's my goal. We have a lot of support from the Irish government within Shanghai, and the Irish Food Association have been so grateful, so helpful, and they're offering us suppliers and as much help as possible. So I'll end up hopefully being an ambassador for modern Irish food. When I use that word modern, I must explain. All I mean by modern Irish food, that word modern it's a type of freedom to give me creativity to have some French twist, have a little bit of Chinese twist also. I don't like the word fusion, so I use the word modern. So that my future plans are heavily based in the success of the restaurant and how well Irish food can be received in Shanghai.
Yeah, you are ambassador of the Irish cuisine, and you are also ambassador of Anhui. You are ambassador of both, right? So, like, what kind of travel advice do you have for foreigners they want to visit Anhui? Like, what's your tips for them?
Because it's going to be the summer vacation.
Yes. Right? Very good point. Come to Hefei first. Hefei is the hub. It's almost in the center of the province. It has a very large high-speed rail station, and it's a really good base. Hefei is quite a beautiful city, and it's the capital, so it shouldn't be ignored. It can be your base for traveling in Anhui. It's not necessarily the best city in Anhui for travel, in my honest opinion, but it's a very beautiful base, and it has amazing hotels, and the new downtown is a very beautiful space. While you're in Anhui, of course, you have provincial capital museums, you have amazing resources. But then use that as a base to, if you have enough time, go north and go south and look at the contrasts of Anhui. If you only had enough time to choose one, I must be honest, go south, okay? Go to Huangshan, maybe the most beautiful mountain range in the world, or one of them in my opinion. The food culture, the scenery, the mountains at the south of Anhui, the Hui architecture is
quite unique.
I've traveled a lot in China. I've been to many provinces, and it's very difficult to beat the beauty of the south of Anhui.
Because a perfect combination of the architecture, the culture, and also the beautiful scenery. That was perfect and was unparalleled.
Absolutely. Hui architecture, Hui food, Hui culture is one of the cornerstones of China at that time, and it still stands up to it today. The birthplace of feng shui,
Yeah.
a very important place in China. So the south of Anhui, of course, is the star within tourism in Anhui. But Hefei is a beautiful city. It's the provincial capital. And if you have the time, go north, explore. The food in the north is super, super suitable for foreign friends. So the lamb soups and the xiaobings I talked about earlier in cities like Huaibei. So it's not spicy at all. It's not very salty. It's very clean, pure lamb flavor. So also really suitable to foreign friends.
Also the local noodles, the local barbecue.
Yeah,
They're also very special.
Huainan Yuratang.
Yeah.
Absolutely delicious.
You got me.
And what about you, Jinzheng? You are from Anhui. What are your local tips for foreigners?
Me and Kurt has reached a consensus about going south, especially to Huangshan city and some places surrounding Huangshan, because that is also not only this year we do not see the only place that shares a perfect harmony of culture and the building and the food and the natural scenery, but it is a very good place for you to travel and for you to explore, because some of the the home inns are they were adapted from the old buildings, and they still combine the modern technology with the while still preserving the old features. That was very wonderful. Yeah. So
Yeah,
I still recommend each and every visitor coming to Anhui to visit that mountainous places.
Must.
First.
Must.
Yeah, thank you for your tip. I have never been to Anhui before, actually, so I must go and say hi, like
Yeah.
to meet you guys in Hefei.
Welcome.
Maybe
It's
in the
welcome.
future. Behind every dish, you will find generations of passion, the restless spirit of discovery, and this beautiful search of balance. It really captures the heart of Chinese culture and that unique wisdom of the East. And these flavors have gone way beyond just feeding us. They are like a bridge connecting all of us, bite by bite, through shared taste and traditions that travel the globe. So that's it for our latest episode of this China travel series. If you like our podcast, you can subscribe it for free on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and Little Universe, 小宇宙. And thank you again, Curt and Jinzheng, for joining us today. I really appreciate your participation.
Thank you.
So if our foreign friends, they want to find you, or maybe like Chinese friends, they want to find you, like how do they contact you? Through social media?
Yeah. My little red book, my red note, and my Dazhong Dianping have the same name.
Yeah, that's Curt, 闻香识中国. Okay, that's a combination of English and Chinese.
Because one of my favorite movies is named Scent of a Woman.
Yeah.
So my nose is a little big, and I'm always going around trying to smell something delicious. So Curt, Scent of China.
Okay.
Trying to follow my nose to find something delicious.